Hey, hi, I'm Mona. This is Sacred Geometry Universe Video Journal Diary for February 20th, 2026. Sorry about the mess. We're camping. I'm just in a different position, looking out the door and everything. So, I had such a super busy morning this morning. My back hurts. Because I had to wrestle with Brian today, and it hurt my back a little bit. It's a little sore. I have back injuries, so I have to do a lot to try to keep the pain down. I don't take pharmaceuticals because I'm like allergic to everything, so I can't take pharmaceuticals or painkillers or anything like that. So I have to deal with it on my own. So when I move spots, you know, and as I was doing that, you know, of course, the dogs are scared. I never kind of moved from a spot to a spot before. And I noticed how Chica was just getting really freaking nervous. And I try to yell over, like, you know, I'm not leaving. I'm coming. You know, I'll be right there. You know, and you know, dogs, they don't understand everything you say. They understand just basic stuff. And, oh, my back. And so, I kind of realized, actually, that I think that's what happened to Chica. Somebody tied her up somewhere, and they left her. You know, I found her in Florida at High Bluff Campground. Somebody abandoned her there. And they abandoned her because she was sick. A lot of people abandon their dogs because they don't take care of their dogs. They don't get them the shots or the proper treatment. Dogs get sick and die. You know, it's important. If you're going to have a dog, you got to do that. You got to take care of their shots. You got to take care of their health. You know, I mean, it's really noble for somebody to go out and to adopt a dog. But if you're not going to take care of it, don't adopt it. Because you're going to make that animal suffer. If you don't keep up with their health, you know, I mean, what are you doing? You know? Anyways. Animals are like living human things. You can't... If you want to be responsible for one, be responsible. You know, like in my town, the dogs run around all over. I don't know if people there are getting the shots. You know, I don't know. And a lot of the times when people don't travel or don't go anywhere, they don't get shots for their dogs. They don't. Some of them don't even keep up on the rabies shots. And it's just, you know... Because if you live in a poor town and there's a lot of dogs around, it's obvious that people aren't keeping up with the dog's health and their shots, you know? And then there's no animal control over there, so, you know, I guess the animal control they have there, or they only have space for one animal in there. And then they ship it off to kill it. So, I mean, it kind of sucks. So, you know, I can understand why people might not say anything or anything, but it's kind of unfortunate. These dogs run around free right here. You know, they know better than to come close to Chica. Dogs know that part. Dogs know which dogs to not approach. So no dogs come and try to sniff at my house. You know, Brian wants to sniff and be cool with them, but Chica's just not. And I don't know these dogs and their health condition, and so I don't want Brian to associate with the dogs around here either. So, yeah, even the big dogs that run around, they won't come near. Chica doesn't care what size an animal is. She doesn't care what size an elk is, She doesn't care what size a cow or a bull is. She doesn't care what size a mouse or a squirrel is, because she came from the wild. She had to survive out there. And thank God for her. You know, she will kill a coyote. That's what she was doing out there when I found her. She had so many bites and fight marks all over her. Poor thing. Anyways, that's a very sad story, but her whole life story is on this channel, but you just got to go back a couple of years and look for it. I don't have any organization on this channel. If you want to know the story of her, you just have to look. This channel was made for me, and if people on here are subscribed and they like it, I appreciate you. But this is like a diary, you know what I mean? It's all my personal thoughts that I'm just sharing, and it's not super exciting, but I thought I'd share because I was traveling and I was seeing all these cool places, you know what I mean? So I might as well just... you know? Anyways, So we moved over here. Chico's nervous. I figured out that, yeah, somebody probably, because when I also found her, she had a chain. It was a chain and a knot on her neck. It wasn't even a collar or anything. They chained her neck and knotted it. I was like, what the fuck? So, yeah, poor thing. Anyways, so we move over here, you know, and I'm like, all right, it's time for snack, you know. Because they were good, they were waiting, and I still had to unpack everything I threw in here, because I just threw everything in. And I gave Chica peas, I gave Brian peas, but then, you know, Brian's got this issue with guarding his food, and that's just one thing I haven't been able to get him out of. And I was dumb. I gave him the treat in front of the door, which I shouldn't have done, because then he dropped it on the floor, and then what he does is he stares at it. And so every time he walked by, he guards it, and he's like, ah, you know, and I'm just like, I can't handle that. That shit pisses me off. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna take this thing. And it's really hard to take from him because he will bite. And so he was at a distance. I grabbed it, but he was on his way, and I had my leg next to the wooden post right there. He tried to put his head between my leg and the wooden post, and I got him. I just by the neck, so he can't move his neck, he can't do anything, he can't bite, and I could grab that thing. But then I was like stuck because he was pissed. So I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do now? So I had to kind of like, I had to grab him and like pull him away from there, flip him over, and show him who's boss. Because like, I don't hit them just cause. I just try to overpower them that way. When he gets violent like that, when he tries to get all I overpower. I don't hit them, you know. So I just did the overpower thing, put him on his back and put my arm on his neck, and I was like, he can't move, he can't do anything. He knows that I'm in charge, you know what I'm saying? So when I let up on him, and I said, no treats, no food, no play, no ball, he knows all of that. And he got quiet, and he had little tongue sticking out a little bit, and he was like, you know. And so I turn around, come back, continue to do my thing, and every so often I would come out, you know, I'd go, you know, give him that look. I'm the boss, you are not the boss. You know what I'm saying? That kind of, you know, just keep giving him those dirty looks every so often, you know. And I put him a little bit to the side there, but he was being unruly at that moment. That what I was gonna do is put the rope around the wooden post, so he can't go nowhere. Only he can just sit there, timeout style. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't do it because he was just in the way and acting foolish, acting stupid. So I was like, you stay there, you know, you stay right there. And he did. He sat down, he stood there. And he stayed there the whole time until maybe 15, 20 minutes later, a couple with their dog walked by. And of course, you know, the dog's going to get excited, especially Chica. Brian left his post. And I waved to them. I said hi. Once they pass, and then the dogs can calm down. Well, I mean, pass enough by the cars, you know. Once the dogs can't see them, then they stop. So they got past the cars, and I said, Brian, come here. Like he thought he was off the hook. Brian, come here. I took him to the farthest post that I could get to. I wrapped it up on that post, the leash, and all he can do is sit there. And I go and I kneel down to him, and I look him in the face, and I say, no food, no toy, no snack, no water, no play. And he's like, too fucking bad. You know? And then I will give him that look, and then eventually, occasionally I'll go. But you know what? That shit doesn't work because I don't hit them, so they don't even know what that means. So They don't know what that means. And Chica doesn't. I don't think anybody's ever hit her. Or I don't know. I never, like, I'm not too aggressive to her. The only time I'm aggressive to her is when she tries to get panicked and is not I will grab her by the snout and I'll be like, hey, wait. You know, I'll be like, wait a minute. You know, because she gets, like, nervous. You know, but that's not very often. I haven't really had to do that. She will do everything I say. She sees that how Brian gets in trouble, and she learns. She doesn't do anything if I tell her, hey, come here, leave it, be quiet. She does. Brian's a different story. He's spoiled, you know, and he's one of those dogs. Chica's grateful. You know, he is spoiled. Chica's grateful. My fault that Brian's spoiled, because he's pretty much my first dog that I had to be responsible by myself and in charge of food, training, health, all that stuff. And it's hard when you don't know how to do things. You know, like I had to look up and all kinds of shit online too, and look for little dog books and advice all over the place to try to deal with him. And you know, yeah. I need doggy daddy. I need doggy daddy. I have rope burns on my legs. Ugh. That's a thing too. You walk into dogs and you get rope burns when if your leg gets caught on the leash or the lead or whatever, and they take off and it's like, fucking straight a rope burn on my legs. It's okay. I'm kind of a rough person anyway, so. But yeah. Oh, the sun is there. That means I'm getting a little charged. I have enough. So yeah, and then, you know, going through all that, my back hurts. And I was getting riled up, so I had to come in here and calm down for a second. I was pissed. But that's when I decided, okay, let me just do a video, talk about it. You know, talk it out. So now everything's better. He is tied over there on the side. I think I just heard him whimper over there. You see? And now you dump your water. You're going to stay there. I actually did go over there and give him a bowl of water. Because, you know. But he dumped it over now. You know why? Because he figured out how to get around the pole in one round. So when he went around there, it tipped the water bowl over. So, but I wrapped it a bunch of times. He don't know how he tried to get loose, but he's smart, but he's rude. And he thinks he's the alpha. I'm the alpha here. The alpha female, the sigma. Anyways. So I'm just kind of sitting down, trying to relax my back. It kind of hurts, but I'm allergic to pharmaceuticals, so I can't take any kind of pharmaceuticals or pills or anything like that. Doesn't matter what it is, painkillers, anything. No narcotics, no aspirins, no nothing. I have to deal with pain and things like that on my own. The only pills I can take, like for example, would be something that would be like, you know, high blood pressure, you know, high cholesterol. Those don't seem to, I don't seem to have any issues with those, but like anything else, like any kind of like a mental health pill or a pill for painkiller, like no, I can't take any of that stuff. So I have to do everything on my own. I have to do meditation. I have to go through healing. I have to, you know, and it's possible for the pain stuff. I just have to deal with it, and it sucks. A lot of times, in order for me to keep the pain down, though, what works, and it'll work for everybody, but people don't want to do it, you gotta lose weight. If you have pain, you gotta lose weight. Because you're putting pressure on whatever that spot is that hurts by the weight. You know? I have to maintain a certain weight if I don't want to be in pain and hurting and all that stuff. I have to maintain a certain weight. But also a strenuous activity like what just happened with Brian, where I had to flip him over and, you know, that strain put a strain on my back, so now it's a little sore. Nothing I could do about that, really. You know, like I can't, you know, I had, at one time, I had 5 root canals. I couldn't take painkillers. I had to just deal with it. You know? I also, I don't know, you guys can see, that's a scar from here to here. They had to open up my face to get to a tumor in my head and clean it out. After that, no painkillers. I can't, because I have allergic reaction. I'm fucked when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's cool because I've learned. That's what, you know. You can control your body, you can control your pain levels, you can help yourself by just being mindful for your own health. And that's what I have to do. Because, you know, the VA doesn't do shit. The VA causes problems, to be quite honest with you. They cause more stress and anxiety. And it's like, you know, they fired all these people from the VA and all this stuff, and people are getting upset. And you know what? I think that the VA is good for, like, medical, but not for mental health. They're not good at that. They're just not. They just want to pump everybody full of pills, and they're not really good at that, you know? So when I saw that people were getting laid off, sort of mental health, and for me, it was like, what difference does it make? They weren't doing shit anyways. They weren't doing shit right over there anyways. And they hire civilians when they should be hiring veterans who are in those fields. And they're not. I got trained by the VA to be a peer support counseling specialist. And I got certified for it. Did I work in it? No. They hired someone else. They took 20 veterans, trained us all for so many weeks, and we never got to work at it. That's a waste of taxpayers' money too, by the way, by the government. Because that money didn't need to be spent for nobody to even get anything out of it. I mean, it was fun. It was fun. The classes were fun, whatever. And the classes were small, and I was able to, it was cool with me. I didn't have any anxiety in there. It was a relaxing environment. But yeah, so, you know, what can you do? So when I heard that they were getting rid of these people, I mean, part of me was like, good. I hope they got rid of the bad ones, because not all of them are good. I had the worst doctor when I was pregnant through the VA. I had the worst fucking doctor in the whole world. He was, you know what? I don't even remember what his name was, but I should have fucking reported that guy because he was inappropriate. Fuck, it's too late now. And at that time, I was younger and not knowing, you know. Now that I think about what that guy did and talking to him, yeah, it was inappropriate. Yeah. I wonder how many women some of these military doctors they're inappropriate to them. I don't know. That's a whole other story. Anyways, but yeah, you know. But I think that's enough. I think I kind of got everything off my chest. And we're just going to continue the chilling and the relaxing. I got to relax my back a little bit. Walking doesn't hurt it. You know, and sitting right now, like, it's not hurting. Oh, yeah. To stand up straight and, like, stick out my chest, like, to, you know, to have a straight back, it hurts. It's a little sore, so. Anyways, that's all I have for you guys. I'm Mona's Sacred Geometry Universe Video Journal Diary for February 20th, 2026. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.